Hello, hello, it is me, back once again, not to do WoW GeoGuessr. I'm doing something slightly different, because I kind of just felt like it. I haven't really been playing Dragonflight recently, but I did do the raid. So let's rank the bosses in the raid, why not? Sounds like fun, I like ranking things. Let's be honest, like, just putting things on tiers like anything is just fun to do. It just is, okay? Everyone knows it is, it's just fun. And what thing am I better qualified for than World of Warcraft bosses? Then, anyways, here we go. My raiding experience is not as vast as most people, even though raiding is like one of the main reasons I play the game. Well, it's like the only reason I play retail, and a little bit of Mythic Plus. But anyways, let's move on. We have our criteria here. I added some little parentheses to have a general idea of what the tiers mean. My initial impression is that Vault of the Incarnates as a raid as a whole is like probably one of the most like average raids in existence. But you know, once I actually like rate the bosses here, we'll maybe our opinion will change slightly. I don't know. I'm also gonna like make them a little bit more in order. Okay, there we go. So, anyways, Aranog, very simple boss, but you know, he's pretty. He's not boring. He's not bad or anything. I think Aranog's like, he's all right. I think compared to like Castle Nath or Shriekwain's like a much more interesting first boss. But one thing I do like about the cards, a lot of the bosses kind of make you want to move a decent amount and not stack. Because I don't really like bosses that kind of where you could just stack on top of everyone. I like how Vault, a lot of the bosses like kind of force you to spread apart a bit. I just like that more. As for Aranog himself, there's not much to say. You know, he's kind of just a target dummy a lot of the time. Yeah, but he's not like actively bad. Maybe I could put him in decent because there's nothing that really stands out about him. But like as a first boss, you know, he's, you know, saving as a warlock. I can save my like, implosions and AoE cooldowns for the ads and stuff, and that's kind of fun. So, but there's really not a lot to say. He's very basic. Let's actually rank Council next. So, by the way, I should mention that I've done the entire raid on Heroic. I've only done 4 of the bosses on Mythic. So, Aranog, Council, Taros, and the Senarth. Just so we're aware, I'm mostly raiding Heroic, but for the bosses I've done Mythic on, like Taros, I think Taros is honestly great. I think the mid mechanic added on Mythic makes him a lot more interesting. The whole like find a partner, you run past each other, you make the buff go off. It's just a nice little dance you have to get used to. Dodging all the stuff feels satisfying. Doesn't feel like there's too much. It's just, you know, it's not too insane mechanically, but the mechanics are hard enough that they keep you on your toes. And if you're like me, you might die on his initial slam on the very first pull. I mean, this theoretically, I wouldn't actually, it's, you know, he's just a good boss. I think honestly, like, I kind of wish he was later in the raid maybe, so they could have expanded upon him a little more maybe, but, I just like the dance he has going on with him. I think the heroic version of him is like okay, but I do actually think the mythic mechanic makes him a lot more fun. So pretty good boss, big rock boy. Council. So Council's main problem is that it's very much been undertuned, or it feels really easy the entire fight. It's like, you know, everyone will go kill Aranog on Mythic and Council on Mythic because they dropped the very rare items that were good. And they're also just easier. As for the Council fight itself mechanically, I kind of like it. It does feel a bit like pretty messy overall. And like the fact that the lightning like dots are more just like annoying than actually like damaging, and everyone's spraying it around. But I don't know. I don't really care too much about Council. Like the mechanics are pretty simple. It's really just the whole lightning thing and not spraying it around. Most of the other stuff you're kind of ignoring. Like there's the soak, which is pretty easy. It's just, I don't know. It's fine. The Council's fine. I wouldn't say like it's a bad fight, but it definitely feels like it could have been polished a bit more. Just feels a bit messy. Also, I love how in this picture the ice dude literally just looks like, I don't know, like a floating ball. Kind of weird. Dathia. So I only did Dathia on Heroic. From what I understand, Dathia on Mythic was a war crime to a lot of people. My thing with Dathia, I like the tornadoes. I like the way you dodge the tornadoes. One thing I don't like about Mara WoW is how 90% of the, like, maybe not 90%, a lot of the 76.2% of the stuff you dodge these days is just swirlies. And I get that they use swirlies, so they have a universal sign of, hey, don't stand in this. But, like, can't you make, like, a little more effort for things to look different than just the swirlies? I don't know. And that's one thing I kind of like the dodging the tornadoes, and I have to like look at the arrows from the different tornadoes and be like, okay, that one's going this way, that one's going this way, so I should go in this position to dodge it. I thought the dodging the tornado was kind of fun, but trying to do damage while it's pulling you in, and I play a warlock, so I don't even want to know what the melees had to do with it. Stand like this sweet spot like a vanilla hunter, trying to do damage while not getting pulled in, and the whole ad part where it's like, hey, you kind of have to interrupt it, but you kind of don't have to. You just kind of like dodge swirls and get sent back. I don't know. Like, I think Dathia is tolerable for me. I wouldn't say Dathia was bad. Again, I didn't do it on Mythic. The only reason it's not on bad/boring is just because I did kind of like dodging tornadoes, I guess. And it was kind of fun how most people would have to like run off, so the big ad pushes you to the edge of the platform, and as a warlock, I'll just be like, I'm just going to keep DPSing, and then when the ad explodes and pushes me back, I'm just going to teleport back up to the platform. Warlock privileges, it's good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't say it was boring or, like, I disliked it, so for me, personally, Dathia was okay. Senarth. So, this boss gets a lot of points. I probably should have said at the start of this tier list that I'm like kind of rating for aesthetics too. Most of these bosses aesthetically are just like okay. Senarth is really cool aesthetically. This going up this big ice cavern with this giant ice spider in front of you. Pretty cool. Mechanically, this fight is really boring. I'm sorry. Senarth is so boring. On Mythic and Heroic. On Heroic, you just kill it so damn quickly that it doesn't even like, it's not even like challenging. And then Mythic, it's just, and like as a range player, it's like, oh, it's pulling me, so I guess I just have to like run a little bit, and then we run back up. Oh, you have the whole mechanic where you go up the stairs with dodging the ice tornadoes, but you just use a warlock gate to bypass that, and then wait near a rock, and then it's just like spreading for the ice things. You're always on a move, which is a really annoying playing like a Destro or Demonology warlock. Like I feel like I never freaking get my spells off. The fact that the big ice spider just does metric tons of damage, and like that's the main threat. It's just not a lot of fun. It just doesn't feel like, it feels like there's a way they could have designed this boss that would have made it better. I don't know. Maybe you could have made the entire walk up like shortened. Maybe you could have made it so the last phase, like instead, like you do it like part way, and then you fight it like at kind of like the last phase where it's in one spot for a bit, and then it goes up again, and then you fight it again like that. Like kind of have like two phases of each in a way, like of the last phase, like it happens twice, kind of something like that. As it stands, it's just like, it's cool boss, like aesthetically, but it was not fun. Kurog was definitely the boss with the biggest missed potential. This boss, Kurog, and this stupid gosh dang Broodkeeper, these two should have been switched in the raid. Kurog should have been the second to last boss. Conceptually, Kurog had a lot of things going for him that could have made him like a really cool boss. And he just felt like half-baked. And it really feels like it's because of where he was put in the raid. They didn't want to go like too crazy. But this guy really feels like the way he worked with pushing him around the different corners with the different mechanics and elementals, and then instead they just made it so it's like, hey, you just attack this elemental the whole time, and the stuff he does in each of the corners is just like a lot of really basic things. But the idea of like having to drag him around to these different elemental parts where he gains energy against different mechanics, like again, this boss could have been like amazing, but I still like this boss more than like these three. And I did kind of like it, so it's all right. Pretty good. Pretty good. Not much more. All right, Broodkeeper. So I don't really know what the popular opinion or what the general consensus on this annoying dragon is. But I'll tell you my experience, because this tier list is based off my experiences. Again, I probably should add these disclaimers, like how I'm rating them and stuff, whatever. But I'm too far in, I don't feel like re-recording this, so who cares? If you're still watching this anyway, you know how I work. Probably, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Anyways, my experience with Broodkeeper is it was a tank and spank. I'm a warlock. I'm not dragging the boss around. I'm not doing the egg laser beam mechanics. I wasn't on the ad team. I wasn't running around doing AoE stuff, although that doesn't sound very exciting either. I was literally just like doing my rotation on the boss and dodging like very easy to dodge swirlies. This boss is like the most forgettable boss for me of all time. Like why did they... I just don't understand. Why would you make a boss like this the second to last? Like, I feel like this whole egg mechanic, like, this should have been, like... Again, Kurog and this boss should have been switched. I feel like that's the biggest mistake with this raid. This boss should not have been the penultimate fight. I don't know why they went that route with it. Kurog definitely should have been the penultimate fight. And even though Kurog was missed potential... Again, maybe this boss is more fun, like, as a tank or as the people who are doing, like, laser stuff. Maybe the ad team. But, I mean, I did ads one time, and I still thought it was, like, this is it? Like, it was just so bland, and, like, nothing was happening. So, it's not a war crime, because it's not, like, war crime is reserved for bosses that I, like, absolutely hate. Which I didn't even... There's no bosses like that for Vault of the Incarnates for me. But I just felt like adding that tier, because it's kind of funny, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't even remember this boss's name. That's so you can tell how much I... Broodkeeper something. Okay. So, pretty decently spread overall. And then, we have Razageth. The boss whose voice I kept making fun of prior to the raid. So, bear in mind, my raid experience, again, is actually pretty small. I only really did Nathria and Shadowlands, and that was it. As in my last boss experience is even smaller. With all that said, I think Razageth was amazing. I honestly think Razageth was an amazing fight. All the phases, this is heroic. Because I know from what I've heard, I have heard some stuff on Razageth. Very not so good opinions on Mythic Razageth, but Heroic Razageth, one of those few instances where the heroic fights seems like a lot better. I never did Mythic, so I can't say for sure, but it was just a really all-around fun fight. All the phases blended really well. It was really thematic and just cool, dodging the lightning breath, dodging the swirlies, having to put the things on the different side of the platform, so with the wind thing like puts you into it. Having the intermission like push you aside, and then I can like get all my cooldowns, my implosion, my demonic strength or whatever, and just wreck the ads at the different. As a warlock, this fight was a lot of fun. Like pretty much I can do so many warlock shenanigans on this fight. As demonology, it was just a blast. Then again, the first intermission ends, you get pushed back, and now it's like a beefed up version of the first phase. The only mechanic I didn't really care for was like the spark little storm ball things, because they kind of just died instantly from like evoker stuff and whatnot. So I mean that was just kind of just a nothing mechanic for the most part. I mean occasionally I'd have to like Shout of Fury or whatever, but having to go using the like mythic affix thundering thing and kind of making that into a raid fight only here was a lot better and kind of more fun to coordinate. And then going after that, you go back to the next intermission, and it's not the same as the first intermission. Now it's just like two big wind elementals instead of a bunch of little ads. Sounds like gibberish you tend to the fight, but who cares? And again, just as a warlock, but you know the like time, like once all the low ads get pushed in the center, it's like biggest implosion. My DPS skyrockets to my AoE cooldown, instant AoE cooldowns. It was just so satisfying. I mean that's the second intermission was probably one of my fun parts. The fact that you're dodging Razageth breath overhead. Can't even like see my head. The fact that you're dodging the Razageth breath overhead while paying attention to all the thunder balls around you while you're damaging the storm ads. It sounds like a lot, but it was like just enough to feel like, you know, kind of chaotic, but in a fun way. And then the last phase, the storm closes in. Again, really, actually, honestly, just really good thematically. The last phase, honestly, was probably like one of the easiest parts of the fight because things didn't really change like a whole lot. It was mostly dealing with the last wave where it like pushes you into the deadly storm, which was still cool, but it was like, you know, storm closing in, people are taking a lot more damage. But it's definitely, I think if there's any problems I had with the fight, the last phase could have used a little more. Maybe it could have been a little harder in some way. And then Razageth Wayne's got in the way a lot because Razageth has the Pro Drake model, so she's always like this with her wings, and if you're in those wings, you can't see jack. But yeah, I'm honestly really impressed with how good of a fight Razageth was. I could go and I think I described basically everything. It was just an all-around really fun fight. Like every part of it was fun. Even like the last phase, which I think was slightly a bit of a miss, but still good and still fun and cool. So yeah, that's Vault of the Incarnates. I'm just gonna delete this row because let's be honest, it doesn't need to be there now. And yeah, like I said earlier, like this is like one of the most average raids. Felt like one of the most average raids ever. And honestly, it kind of still holds up for that. Like, I'll be honest, Razageth carried this raid. Like, especially on Heroic, Razageth carries the raid hard. Because the rest of the raid, like, none of these other bosses I was, like, super looking forward to. And then, like, Mythic Tails is, like, cool. It just sucks that his loot was, like, completely worthless. Like, what were they thinking with the loot tables with this guy? It's like, hey, here's a necklace with 900 versatility. It's like, what? Why is this dropping in a raid? No one wants this versatility. Is this versatility staff? What's with Taros and versatility? Versatile is a piece of garbage. Just get out. Okay, no, he's fine. But yeah, none of these other bosses I'm really gonna like remember like super fondly. But overall, I think yeah, if Razageth wasn't so good, like if Razageth was just all right, because of course it's the final boss, you're going to be spending the most time on it because it's the hardest, it's going to take you the longest, and that's how it went for us. If Razageth was, yeah, I would not have a high opinion of this raid at all if Razageth was not good, but because Razageth was such a good fight, my opinion of this raid definitely shoots up a lot, because aside from Razageth, there's not really a lot going on. Like two bad bosses, two like mediocre okay bosses, two like fine pretty good bosses. So yeah, not too far off from when I first like said the most like average raid in existence. It's like the most average raid in existence. You take that and then you add like a Baner last fight on top of it, basically. So yeah, that's gonna be the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Did you do Vault of the Incarnates? If you did you enjoy it? Do you think any of these reigns are insanity? Would you put Dathia in the bad/boring tier? Do you think Broodkeeper is actually like the best ad fight ever? Who likes ad fights though? Like, come on. Like, has there ever been I'm pretty sure every single raid that has an ad fight, it's always like one of the least liked. Why do they keep doing them? Nobody likes like pure ad fights, I just realized. Every single time there's one, it's just like, oh good. Here's Sunkeeper's Salvation. Oh good, here's the Blackrock Foundry Forge fight. Oh good, here's that's all I got. Anyways, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the next raid, Aberrus Shadowed Crucible, because it's actually like the first time I think ever technically that I'm gonna be doing like a mid-tier, like a middle of the expansion raid, because every other time like I only did the late raids, I did the start and then quit in the middle, like Shadowlands. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And Aberrus does look, from the little I've seen, it does look cooler of a raid than Vault of the Incarnates for sure. One final thing I'll mention. Aesthetically, I'll say, because I do care about aesthetics quite a bit, like the style of how a raid looks. Vault of the Incarnates was like C, like bottom C. Like this raid was like so like basic in the way it looked. I don't know. Razageth's Arena, once again, was pretty cool. Dathir's Arena was decent. And then Centaur's Arena was really cool. Everyone else was just like, hey, we're in a circle with like some elemental looking structures. So yeah, Razageth, great fight. Yeah, we've been over this. I'm just gonna start repeating myself. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have a good one.